Welcome back, gamers. If you're wondering why I haven't been uploading lately, well, it's because I moved. Now that I'm settled in, let's talk about what's on everyone's mind. The war within. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to be talking about FIRELANDS. And with that, we finally get to take a look at the updates to the Sims, as well as where rogues are going to be relative to the other melee DPS in terms of single target DPS. So these are what the DPS numbers are going to look like for each individual spec. Things that I want you to notice here is that the thing that we're going to mainly focus on today is what rogue looks like in terms of full BIS DPS. By comparison, we're going to be looking at BIS for each spec. I'm going to save that. There we go. This is currently combat. Combat is rocking around 41k. Generally speaking, this is with the 4-set implement. So I'll show you guys in rotations. We have the 4-set implement here. So we're pre-casting tricks and then casting it during the middle of the fight. So this is what they're looking like in terms of their single target DPS. This is Subtlety. Now, mind you guys, this is subject to change. This is just what the Sims are currently reporting as. There's an overwrite for the daggers that's making them work currently. So even though that they're not displaying properly, they are working as intended, which is great for us because really needed to not wait this long to get these Sims out. So, but yeah, these are working as intended, but they're just not displaying as intended currently, but that's okay. And then, so this is Assassination. Same thing with tricks activated. So this is working as intended for sure. I think this was supposed to go down at the bottom though, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like we were losing DPS when it was at the top. Am I crazy? Straight up gapping by 1.3k. Yeah. Now mind you, like Subtlety isn't very good for a lot of fights. No, it's a lot of damage. And if we look at the reason why it's doing so much damage, the reason for it is it's Burning Wounds. Burning Wounds is doing a ton of DPS. It's about 1500 DPS for them, where for Assassination, if we look at the results, Burning Wounds is doing 700 DPS. So it's like that alone is a massive increase over the other spec. In fact, pretty sure you're going to be running this 2-piece in the final raid tier. So going to be running this final piece in Dragon Soul, but we'll see how that ends up shaking out, right? Because target dummy DPS versus like actual real in raid DPS are completely different things from one another. In terms of week 1 DPS, what you're going to go into FIRELANDS with, you're definitely going to be playing Assassination. You guys have to remember this is in pure, like, you know, full BIS, right? So when Subtlety does get this 2-set, they will definitely start gapping Assassination a little bit, and of course combat, but combat's the lowest of them. In terms of raw DPS for this spec, or you know, rogue in general versus the other classes, I'll show you guys what the other classes look like. Now I'm not exactly certain if this is true BIS for any of these classes. So obviously like combat and Assassination are going to have the overlap of this effort piece for their bracers, and their BIS list looks almost the exact same to one another. If we look at the gear. So this is what we're looking at. Off piece is Incendiary Soul, and then you use legs. Combat, Incendiary Soul, use legs. So yeah, it's pretty close to one another. They're like almost a 1-to-1 outside of the weapon, I think. I think they're 1-to-1s, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they're 1-to-1s. So yeah, they're totally 1-to-1s. But that being said, numbers as they stand are 42.6 for Assassination, 43.9 to 44 for Subtlety, and then 41.2 for combat. Arms Warrior is really close to these numbers with 42.216 because of the eye level increase with their 397 weapon. Fury without a mastery set, this is not Fury with a mastery set DPS, is looking at around 38k. Now, I'm not trying to say that these numbers are entirely accurate. This is me just looking at old BIS lists. Things could have changed because of the talents. So Fury is struggling. It was the lowest out of all of them. So this is Frost at 39.6 just about. And then this is Unholy at 40,000. So all of these specs, generally speaking, are not doing even close outside of Arms. Arms is pretty close, but generally speaking, rogues are looking like far and above, especially with Subtlety being as good as it is with these sims. And, you know, like I said, this is totally subject to change because we all know that Subtlety is great on paper, but when you put it in actual fight, it's, you know, with mechanics, it's a completely different story. Any sort of target swapping or anything that's even slightly inconvenient makes Subtlety really bad. It's kind of hard to say whether or not Subtlety is going to be super crank or spec.